I said when I was a kid that I didn't want a 9-to-5 job. This is my 20th year. I've just had my 20th birthday at ITN, and I have to say there's never been a year like this one.
Aleppo is now a vast monument to the futility of Syria's civil war.
I'd been working on Syria for a while, but Aleppo became one of the biggest stories of the year. And between July and September, I think we did 20 pieces from our own material mostly, our exclusives.
And the infants of Syria aren't even safe in hospital.
These aren't people who are trained at filming. Some of them were just literally filming their lives for us on mobile phones.
The situation inside Syria is real. It's getting worse every day.
I looked at 1 week of how many children were injured and killed in Aleppo to give people a window.
There are many front lines in Syria's war. Last night, Omran Daknish's home became one of them.
And many viewers wrote saying that could be our child. And I think in a story like Syria, where it's taking place thousands of miles away, one of the only ways for viewers here to relate is that kind of a sentiment. Donald Trump and the potential first female president. I normally think I can persuade most people to do most things, but this was a challenge because we don't have the budget of American Nets. And one of the people that I wanted was a guy who some say sort of changed the course of the election in some ways, and that was Khizr Khan and his wife Ghazala. Due to the personal relationship built up, I was really glad that we received confirmation about 24 hours before the programme that he would be speaking to us.
We have received overwhelming love and respect and courtesy from all corners of not only this country but throughout the world.
Jesse Jackson, who confirmed 1 hour before where he'd be, and another one of our guests, James Rubin, who confirmed half an hour before we went on air. If I wore a Fitbit, I think I would have acquired the best amount of steps in that 8-hour programme from running back and forth. But it was very much worth it, and everything came off successfully in the end.
It's been a busy year for anybody in news. Obviously, it's become much bigger than the referendum thing. Ali Ryan invited me to go to Manchester on referendum night and direct, I think it was 3-camera OB from there, out of the studio for me, out of my comfort zone, with a phenomenal team.
Peter Spencer, you are from Betfred, an expert.
Somebody like me can go and work for ITN on a story that huge, and being a part of telling people what was happening, it doesn't really get a lot better than that, really.
I think you were wrong on my Labour leadership bid, though, weren't you? I think you called that one wrong.
The town in shock tonight after its MP, Jo Cox, was killed on the pavement of her constituency.
When Jo Cox happened, that was a shocking story and a huge story, obviously. Being able to confidently go out and front from a location like that, much better than being studio bound, because you're taking the viewers to where it is.
They don't want normal screams then, they're right panicking.
For this to happen is just...
We've always stuck by live view, even though we had a lot of teething problems with it. And that, is 90% of the time, is just a massive asset.
Warrington, well, as you can see, I've come inside the ground beyond the turnstiles at the end of the tunnel where thousands of fans would come down that day in 1989.
Duncan led it on a walk through the tunnels and everything, sort of like physically walking through the events. Obviously you can't do that in the studio, and it added a lot to that programme, which was a stressful day but particularly good.
Well, Duncan is live on the island of Cos for us tonight.
To be able to go all the way to Cos, just to ring ITN and go, yep, that's Duncan's iPhone number, give him a ring, you'll have comms, I'll feed that live view out on a line, and just leave them to it.
The link in there mentions Cliff, Orgreave, Hillsborough.
We're very fortunate at Calendar because we got the big 6-screen media wall put in the newsroom.
Tata Steel currently employs more than 5.
And I think kind of says to the viewer, listen, this is important,
It's my first year in this job, and it has been challenging and exciting and nothing like I thought it would be. I was harangued by Lucy Vandenbroek and forced to do some shadow shifts and do some training with her. And the first shift I did, I absolutely loved it.
Vanessa Francis is at Alton Towers.
Coming from an on-air role, going behind the scenes and being in the intensity of the gallery and being the last point of call before the information goes to air, and then being at the desk and being in control of the crews and the producers and the reporters and the correspondents out on the road. We often have to change the stories throughout the night, and that could very easily be the top 3 stories that we're running in our bulletin. So in that case, we need to find new guests. We have to set up stories when time is against us. It's really hard to make that phone call in the middle of the night and wake someone up and say, "Hi, do you think you want to be on the sofa on Good Morning Britain in 5 hours' time?" We'll send a cab. It's fine.
Just broke on Twitter and on his official Facebook page. David Bowie has died.
When the news of David Bowie's death broke, it was at about 7 o'clock in the morning. Within an hour, we had a guest on the sofa.
It's 7:30, so the breaking news this morning, early reports of several people injured after explosions at Brussels airport.
Good Morning Britain showed that we're as good, if not better, than leading news broadcasters in the world. The latest pictures, the best pictures, we had guests immediately, and we stuck with the story. We weren't bound by the time constraints of our broadcast. 8:30 was out the window, and we pushed on for another 2 hours after politely discussing it with Lorraine, I'm sure, behind the scenes.
Good Morning Britain, Kim Kardashian has been held
We're not
up.
afraid to lead with something that no other broadcaster is leading with that day, because we think that it's important to our viewers. Because we're Good Morning Britain, we don't need to justify those decisions against what anybody else's news agenda is. We know who our audience is, we know what they want to hear.